And we are live. Woo-hoo. Welcome to Life of a Home Cook, everyone. We are here tonight. I have my sister by another mister, Miss Denise Jordan of Homemaking with Denise. I am Leona Dooley from Ebony Ivy Thyme. And I am so glad to see all of you here because we've got a lot to cover tonight. And it's this is Life of a Home Cook is our bi-weekly show. And I have the pleasure of having Miss Denise with me each week, or each bi-weekly week. And on the opposite week, it's Homemaking with Purpose with Miss Denise. So right now, let me, I was really trying to use all of this tonight, Miss Denise. And let's see if it comes across. I don't know if it's going to work or not. See if the banner will come through.
Well, while you're working on the banner, let me say hello to Hillary Smith out there. She's saying hello to hi Lucy and Miss LL, and you know that's you. And I say, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. I'm just letting you know early that she's finally joining us tonight. She's missed us both in our community, so she's excited to be back. And Ethel, which I call her Ethel, but she's Hillary actually. But she has certainly had some situations that she's had to like reset, regroup, and rise from. So I am so glad to see her here tonight. Yes. And Ethel, I was just talking about you yesterday because Blue Skies, my sister Mickey Blue Skies, was asking me, have you heard from Hillary? And I said, no, she hasn't been on for a while, but she's been experiencing some challenges from life. So I'm glad you're here. So hooray.
Yay! Oh, we've also got Hazel with us tonight. We have Molly with us tonight. Hello, hello. I'm not sure who this is. Thundercloud official, somebody from a talk radio.
Hello.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. I hope you'll stay with us and enjoy tonight's information. We have Patience with us tonight. She said it's storming there. Well, we had some stormy clouds just a little while ago, but it looks like it's passed. Oh, goodness. We have quite a few people who have jumped in. We got Ann with us tonight. Hello, hello. Thundercloud is here. We have Judy with us. Hello, hello. And Tamika is here. And we are just so glad to have all of you right here in the house. Ella's with us as well. And this is going to be one of those nights that you're going to be thinking about, I think, long after we're off the screen tonight.
I think so too. And before we get into tonight's topic, ladies, Thundercloud is new tonight. So he's joining us for the first time. So be sure and make him feel welcome to the group, because I'm sure he'll have some things that he may want to share as well. So Leona, I'm going to quit talking because you know how I do. I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away.
Now, you know that between Miss Denise and I, we are very often talking about self-care. And we're going to take self-care from a different approach tonight, because this is an approach that, or shall I say, we're going to do it with new eyes. And because so often we have expectations, we have demands that are on our time, on our bodies, on our minds. And sometimes, as the homemaker and home cook, we kind of get lost in the shuffle. And so I'm going to read something to you as fast as I can. But this came from a young lady. So it says, today I'm so tired. I can hardly keep my eyes open. Nothing special, just a lot going on. Had to drive her child to basketball camp 45 minutes each way. She was helping the 7-year-old get ready for the day. She was dropping off paperwork as well. She was purchasing donuts for her daughter's volleyball game since today was her birthday. She also was picking up her daughter from summer class, taking the entire tribe to lunch today, fitting in an hour of time at swimming, running to her daughter's volleyball game. Now, we're still in one day here.
Mhm.
Actually, she had two games. And she got back home. She was throwing pizza into the oven since the kids said that they needed to eat dinner, while making some boiled frosting for a rainbow cake that she had made and didn't have enough frosting to get the frosting on the cake. So then she frosted the cake. Now, all of this is before dinner. And then she was also hosting a birthday party and entertaining the 7-year-old and her cousin for the night.
I'm
She
tired
needed,
listening to it.
I know, oh my goodness. She just needed a good night's sleep. But because things during the day had been so crazy, she couldn't sleep. Have
Mhm.
you ever been in that situation
I
where, oh, how about you, Denise? Have you?
You know what I have? I have had those days when it was just one endless task after the other, when there was just so much going on that I just couldn't keep up with it. And I think the story that you shared about the young lady is very typical of today's parents because our kids are so booked. Some of them are overbooked with so many things they're doing. And I remember when our children were home, I was the mom driving the cheerleading camp, picking up and dropping off. I was the mom driving the basketball camp, picking up and dropping off. I was the mom driving to soccer camp, soccer practice, picking up and dropping off, particularly when they were freshmen and sophomores, because at that age, they don't drive yet. So you have to do the driving. And my sense of direction is not the greatest. And so I remember one summer, Justin spent the entire summer trying to help me learn which way was north and south and east and west. Because I was driving him and two or three other boys to soccer camp in a city that was north of us. And by the end of the summer, I think I got it, but it was a stretch.
Yes, yes. And then on top of all the driving, I know I was the shuttle service. That's what I called it because the big guy traveled. And
Mhm,
so because of that, it was usually me. I was
mhm,
the main parent.
mhm,
So, and I had everybody going in two different directions, which just drove me crazy. And
mhm,
then I had people who expected, because as a teacher, I got out a little earlier than everybody else from work. So guess what? They would say, "Oh, do you mind picking up my daughter or my son for such and such? Or will you bring them home? Or can they stay at your house until I can come and pick them up?" And yeah, that too. And so, as much as you don't mind at first, you understand. But then when the people walk out the door and there's not even, "Oh, thank you so much
mhm,
for helping me," you kind of have a little
mhm.
something going on in there. So, sometimes we need a fresh start. We
Yes.
need a minute. We need to just gather it all together. And I know some of you out there it's just going through your mind. You're thinking of those moments when this has happened. And some of you might even be in the middle of it right now.
Right now.
Now, in addition to that, I thought about what really hit me in the middle of all this craziness. We had just moved here and I had no family,
Mhm.
didn't know anyone. My mom was in another state. She had cancer. She was sick. I had a new job, couldn't stop to go and do what needed to be done. So there's the guilt. Then when I lost her, I lost her. And then my son decided that he wasn't going to go to college. He was going to join the army. Well,
Wow.
talk about a smack in
Mhm.
the face. I almost fell apart and I kind of lost myself for a while. Now, sometimes when we're trying to get through the everyday things, everybody still expects you to do whatever it is.
Mhm.
We got to have dinner. We got to have the laundry done. We've got to make sure the house is clean in addition to that. So some of us, and I know some of you have been here in the chat, And you talked about being depressed,
Hmm.
being exhausted, and we carry a lot of burden.
A lot of weight.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So, our first suggestion is to try to first, if you have anything that you're still hanging on to from the past, and I tried to let go of most of that I had from the past because kids are grown. So I don't have to think about all that crazy days. I did today, but normally I don't have to. First of all, just try to let go of the past and approach each day as a new opportunity.
Hmm.
Now, also along the way, here's the biggie. Have you ever had someone you thought was your, I won't say even close friend, or a good associate, and they can see your exhaustion, they can see where you are, and all they can give you is something negative?
Hmm. Yeah, when you have people in your life like that, I think those are the people that you're just going to have to let go of. You
I
just have
think,
to let them go, because one of the things that I learned in life is that everyone does not have your best interest in mind.
mm,
You may think they should have, or that they do because they're your friend,
mm-hmm,
but sometimes those people that you think of as your friend, for some reason or another, may be jealous of something you're doing, something you have, some circumstance that you've attained, and then they're jealous, or so they give you negativity because of that. So you just have to let go of some people that are like that.
you're right. And I'm glad Thundercloud is here with us tonight, because let me just say, this is not a girl thing.
Hmm.
This happens to men just as much as it happens to women. Men are out there. They're working the jobs. They're doing whatever's necessary. Some are the one who's at home with the kids, keeping things going while the wife is working, whichever the situation may be. Or you may be single, just trying to navigate everything and get everything going. But sometimes the fellas are not the ones that you want to have close to you, because they're toxic, and so you may need to let them go. Now,
When you talk about that, there was this line in some movie, and I can't remember the name of it,
mhm,
but the guy was talking about some friends he used to have back in the day, and someone had said, "You need to let them go." And he said, "Italians don't outgrow people, they outgrow suits." And I've thought about that a lot after hearing that line. But lately, I've been thinking, you know what? Sometimes you do outgrow people because the people may not be in your best interest. And if the people that you knew back in the day or that you grew up with are supportive of you, then that's one thing. But if
mhm,
those people are trying to pull you into bad habits, especially if when you were younger, there might have been a few things that you did that you're not necessarily proud of today and you're different
mhm.
from that, but they want to bring you back to the past and do some of those things, you might need to let them go.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny. You say that. I think back to some high school buddies,
Hmm.
and at that time, they seemed like great high school buddies.
Hmm.
But then, as time went on, I guess we all grow up, and
Hmm.
because we don't all grow up at the same pace, then you find that there's one's here and one's here. And so sometimes you do just have to step away.
Yeah.
And, if they catch up, that's fine. But, another thing, Denise, is a huge part of trying to live, I think, a stress free life, and a life that is strong for each of us and keep our minds strong, is that we have to know who we are.
Hmm.
That's powerful. And
Yeah.
sometimes we really don't know, what I'm saying, really know who we are until we get about 30, 35,
Hmm.
because
Have
I
a
remember,
life experience.
yes. I don't think I really knew who I was until I hit 40. And when I hit 40, it was like, bam, it just smacked me. And it was like, okay, I am not the girl of the 20s, and
Mhm.
20. So being able to take a moment, for those of you who are in the chat, if you're thinking about it, what are your core beliefs? For me, I want honesty.
Mhm.
I want uh, love, of course, in the case of my husband, love of my children, love of those who are closest to me.
Mhm.
We want loyalty.
Mhm.
We don't want craziness. And we want to be able to have true heart to heart communication where
Yes.
we understand each other. You agree?
Well, I do agree. And when we were prepping for the show, and you have mentioned what were some of your core beliefs, I thought, okay, so I agree with all of that. But I
Hmm.
wanted to think about, well, what is different from me, or what different can I bring to this conversation?
Hmm.
And when I thought about my core beliefs, I think about my philosophy of life. And I believe that we are our brother's keeper.
Hmm.
I believe that we owe something to the community in which we live.
Hmm.
I believe that homemaking is a journey,
Hmm.
not a destination. That means it's never done, but it's a journey, and it's not always puppies and rainbows. Some days it's dirty, poopy diapers and a lot of, difficult discussions with the people that live in the house with you.
Hmm.
So, there's that. So, I was thinking about that, and those are the core beliefs that I have, but they also affect how you approach life, how you approach your family, and how you approach interactions with other people.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And let me just say, I can remember once upon a time, and this may sound a little strange. At that time, I belonged to a different church where I am now. And so when I went in, I was looking for all of these things: the honesty, the love, the loyalty, the acceptance, the heart to heart
Yeah.
communication along the way, only to find that that wasn't always the case.
Oh, I know.
And so sometimes you have to be very discerning with the people who you bring close to you. And just because you're necessarily in a faith-based location does
Mhm.
not mean that everybody's on the same page.
No, it does
So
not.
that's something that we cannot go into with. You can work with people for an entire career thinking that you are kind of all on the same path, only to find that is not the case.
No,
And so,
exactly.
so let's look. We've got some people who are coming in and they're telling us some of their things. Danny, hello, Danny. She said she wants integrity. She wants kindness. I certainly agree with you as far as those core beliefs.
Mhm.
Tamika said honesty, integrity, love, and peace. These
Yeah,
are all of the good things. I agree. I agree, Tamika.
I want that in my house.
Hillary said she's got another message coming in a little while. She said, so in the middle of all the madness, she noticed that it was like 1,000,000 degrees outside all week. You are absolutely right. So let me go down to the rest. So having her son, granddaughter, and hubby to take care of in between her doctor's appointments, she factored in the extreme heat. And in this case, she went to the farmer's market, the butcher, and purchased various boarhead, I'm assuming boarhead meats
Mhm.
along the way. So Hillary's been busy. So she's got that busy schedule going too. Sierra said that what helps her most is seeking God and being honest with God about what she's experienced. And she said she thinks it's healthy to process how we feel and not ignore it.
Exactly.
Boom.
Yeah, like,
That's
boom.
big.
Yes,
That's big. And in
it's
fact,
big.
that's one of the things that we've even got here is that we need to acknowledge how we feel. If we don't acknowledge it necessarily out loud, we need to at least acknowledge it within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Those things that are going on within us, because we have had some people in our community who have been troubled by depression, who have been troubled by situations that have occurred in their life, um, not necessarily health. Sometimes it's other situations that are also going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them, their world has been rocked to a point. So they're trying to find their superpower again. Because while no, we're not talking about Superman or Superwoman. We're talking about being able to bring ourselves back from whatever the situation may be that has kind of rocked our world. And it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tutu says that her core beliefs are love,
Yes.
liberty, empathy. That's a good one. And kindness.
Yes.
Sweet Tea said respect and understanding. That's a big one. Respect is really a big one. Hazel said one of the things that she wants at this moment in her life is peace.
Thank you, Jesus. Yes.
Woo! Yes, ma'am. And as always, love is first. Uh, Sweet Tea said, we are speaking to her.
And let me just say this, Leona, too, because when you first came up with this idea, and I started looking at your thoughts, well, before I actually looked at your notes about today's session,
Mhm.
oh, okay, so finding our superpowers. So my first thought immediately went to like Superwoman and having a big S on the chest, and I was going to find the thumbnail and figure out how to get that little S, the little super thing on the chest and all of that. But then when I really got to thinking about it, I realized that's not what this is about, because the superpower is really being able to find your inner strength to keep
Mhm.
going. Because I think about, like, there have been times in my life when I just felt like life was just going to break me. Like
Mhm.
I could just barely get out of bed.
Mhm.
But I found that I drew on the strength to get up,
Mhm.
to get dressed,
Mhm.
to go to work, and
Mhm.
just do those simple things, just one foot in front of the other, until I felt like I was at a point where I could thrive again. Now, initially, I was just surviving. And sometimes you're in that survival mode where all you can do is just exist and keep doing the things you need to do. Keep making dinner for your family, keep doing the
Mhm.
laundry, keep, getting the dishes washed. And then one day you have a breakthrough, and then you can begin to thrive again. So that's what I think the real superpower is being able to draw
Mhm.
on that inner strength
Mhm.
to keep going when it
Mhm.
seems like there's no way but to keep going,
Mhm.
and just keep pressing on.
Absolutely. And I can't stress to all of you, and I'm saying this to myself as well, that as days go by, as changes come about,
Mhm.
whether it's a health change, whether it's a community change, whether it's a world change,
Mhm.
whatever the situation may be, we need to know who we are.
Yes.
We need to stand up for who we are.
Yes.
And we definitely need to keep our core beliefs strong.
Mhm.
Um, if you are just joining us tonight, I'm going to stop for just a second. If you're just joining us tonight on Life of a Home Cook, I'm Leona Dooley, and this is my sister by another Mr., Miss Denise Jordan from Homemaking with Denise. We are here tonight, and we're talking about finding our superpower. And Denise just gave a great explanation, because we are drawing on the strength that we have from within.
Mhm.
Now, Denise, let's think about what are some of the things, and I want those of you who are in the chat, please, to tell us at least two things that really make you happy?
Oh,
That really make you happy?
spending time with my family, with my children, especially the ones that don't live here, but
Mm-hmm.
and having them all together, because that's one of the things that as we grow and families, if they move to different parts of the country, there's
Mm-hmm.
always a celebration where someone is missing, not
Mm-hmm.
because they've gone on, but because
Mm-hmm.
they live in a different state and they can't get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really am happy when all three of my children and their families were all together.
I can understand that.
That
Absolutely.
really makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think something else that really makes me happy. Um, I enjoy actually cleaning my home. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy keeping my home nice so that it is decluttered to a certain degree and peaceful. To have peace in my home makes
Mm-hmm.
me very happy because there's nothing worse than having to come home to a bunch of dissension. So
Mm-hmm.
getting together with all of my family and having peace in my home,
Mm-hmm.
those two things are huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love having, I'm with you, having my family. And in fact, so much so, this is something that I hadn't even really paid that much attention to. But Conway did. He said, Leona, he said, all I have to know is that, he said, or he said, better yet, you don't even have to tell me that the family's coming. He said, you know how I know? He said, because he said, you'll get in that kitchen. He said, I can hear the pots and the pans. And he said, and you start to sing. And he said, and you're just in there singing up a storm. And he said, before I know it, the doorbell's ringing and there's the crew. And, sometimes it's just to see, I love seeing his face when everybody
Yeah,
comes in as he's going, he's so excited. But it does something to your heart.
it
And
does.
I think part of it is the fact that they are all in their separate lives
Yes.
doing what they need to do. And, they thought enough of us to be able to come and visit. And
Mhm.
so, because so many moms, so many grandmothers, their children are far away and they're not able to come and
Yes.
they're not able to visit. And, and that's tough. You eventually adjust, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you like it.
No.
You just have to adjust.
Mhm.
So it could be that one of the things that you really love is, of course, family. Some of you may play music.
Mhm.
We may have some artists out there. Some of you are exercise gurus. I know Miss Denise likes to do her yoga
I
every
do.
morning. For me, I'm learning to start the day off with a really good routine and being able to take time for myself by praying, take time for myself by making sure that I do the things that I need to do to keep myself healthy.
Mhm.
Uh, and, those are things that make us happy along the way. Some of us are writers. How many of you like to write? It could be through journaling, or
Mhm.
maybe we got some poets out there. I don't know. Maybe some of you like to do that. I love traveling.
Oh, I love traveling.
Oh, I love
I love
travel.
going to new places and eating at restaurants in new towns, trying out the local cuisine. As long as it's not fish, I'll try out the local cuisine. I like to see what they've got going in that area. When we went to New Orleans, we went
Uh-huh.
to a seafood restaurant because my husband had to have some fish when we went
Of
there.
course.
And of course, I found the chicken dish and the ben yapes or some kind of little uh, fried kind of a pastry dish that's really,
Uh-huh.
big in New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
I just love going and eating out at different places when we travel.
Oh, wow. Well, and think about this. I thought about there was something you said that took me back to the Fly Lady.
Ah.
of being able to find that those baby steps,
Mm-hmm.
those little steps. We think of little steps when we think of cleaning our house and keeping
Yes.
our home clean. And those are certainly the baby steps. But
Mm-hmm.
we also want to think about those baby steps in just getting things done within our life, that
Yes.
all of us are growing, all of us are changing. Even those of us who are where we are, ladies of a certain
Yes.
age, we are still growing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be able to give ourselves some grace. Now, as you think about some of those things that make you happy, how many of you have been putting it off for a while? How many of you have really been putting off the things that you love, things that you want to do for quite a while? And that's something to really think about. And
Mm-hmm.
I want you to answer for us, please. And because we want to know, what are the things that if money wasn't an issue, what would be the thing you'd really want to do?
I travel. I travel more. I would travel more. And you have to learn who your partner is too. Because I remember when I was younger, I used to wonder, how come we never go on vacation? How come everybody at work is going on vacation and we're not? And it finally dawned on me that number one, they planned because we had the same week off. Everybody had the same week off for vacation,
Mhm,
spring break and summer break at the same time because I was on the academic calendar and so was my husband.
mhm,
But they planned ahead when they were going to have that time off.
mhm,
We did not. And number two, I realized my husband is content to stay home.
mhm,
Finally
mhm,
took me a while. He doesn't want to go on vacation. As long as if we were in this house all day long and nobody ever came and he had his meals, the house was clean, he would be fine. And if the kids came to visit, he'd love it. But we don't have to ever go anywhere. He's fine. So I finally realized that if I want to travel, I'm just going to have to plan it. And so I was like, babe, we're going to Georgia for Christmas. Just
mhm,
like Jill was like, Mom, when are you guys coming out again? Can you guys come for Christmas? We were there last Christmas. I'm,
mhm,
just, I'm like, we're going to Georgia for Christmas. If I make the reservation, babe, we're going to Georgia for Christmas. These are
mhm,
the dates. He'll put it in his calendar and he'll go. And he's happy when we get there. If
mhm.
it's not a fishing trip, he's good to stay home. But I just have to plan it. And when
Mhm.
I plan it, he's happy. So,
Yep, yep. Well, I'm lucky. Both of us are always ready to go. We're always ready to wherever it is. But I'm going to go. And Molly said that she loves, of course, family and sewing. I wish I could sew
I
because
like to quilt.
I have a sewing machine, and I've done simple curtains and those kind of things, or tablecloths, but that's about as far as it goes. Um, Aja said that she's thankful to us. She needed to hear this today because she was telling God to give her strength to keep going. And then she stumbled upon this live. She said, God is truly amazing.
Oh, Aja,
Bless her
thank
heart.
you
Well,
for
I am
reaching
so
out.
glad. I am so glad that we have been able to bless you today.
Mhm.
Hillary said that she actually has COVID now. And thankfully, she has a mild case. So, Hillary, I just hope and pray that God continues to bless you with a
Mhm.
mild case, that He continues to heal you.
Grace of
And
healing.
absolutely. So, we would just keep you in our prayers. Hazel said, family, working in her garden. That
Yes.
sounds like you, and
Mhm.
exploring new places. There we go. There we go. Um, Dr. Starr is with us tonight, and there are two things. So, Dr. Starr said, church, the worship, and sleep. She said her bonus items are joy and eating good food.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Give it to me.
Mhm.
Oh, she added, Denise, that they're called beignets.
And yes, that's it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's it. I knew they were something like that, but oh,
Yeah.
they taste so good.
They are delicious. And she said she's originally from Louisiana. How about that? We've
Yeah.
also got Sleepless in New York tonight with us. Hello, hello. She said she loves to travel, but she hadn't traveled in years because she said she was too busy. Mwah.
You know what, though? Sleepless in New York. Number one, you're in a great place to be. You're in New York City. So, I mean, New York has all kind of places to go. I would love to go to New York and see some of the shows, eat at some of the restaurants. And you know what? My daughter and I were saying we're going to have to plan a girls' trip to go and do some things like that just to have fun because, it's like, what are we waiting for?
Exactly.
You keep waiting, and then one of the things she said was, she says, "Mom, I want us to do more traveling while you're still young enough to be able to enjoy it."
That's right.
So,
That's right. And so many things can happen, simple things can happen.
mm-hmm.
Uh, Tutu said she had her annual checkup yesterday, had an RSV shot, and she's doing good from her doctor.
Good.
Hey, that's
I gotta get the
wonderful.
RSV.
Christine is glad to be here. Christina is with us today. Hello, hello.
Happy
Hazel says she's with us, with you. She would travel more.
mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Dolores said she would go to Ireland.
Oh, I'd love to go to
Oh,
Ireland.
I would love to go to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Tutu said you can probably guess she would want to take the kids and the grandkids with her to Disney World. She loves amusement parks and watching the grandkids laugh. Absolutely. There's
Yeah,
nothing better, nothing better.
yeah.
And Tutu, as you think about this, one thing to keep in mind is too, you want to spend as much time with those grandkids as you can,
Mm-hmm.
because Denise can tell you, and myself too, they grow up way too fast.
They do.
And before you know it, they're in college, and once they go to college, they become adults, and so
Even before then, because I think about my two granddaughters, Morgan and Mackenzie, who are in Georgia, and even Jordy and CJ, they will come out, stay for a week, sometimes 2 weeks. But now they have so much going on, they don't have time to come out here and stay for a week. They got, junior varsity dance group, or they have some kind of school play, or some kind of competition is always going on. They have a calendar almost as busy as mine. And plus they're preteens now. They're in like seventh, eighth grade, ninth grade. They got stuff to do. They don't have time to come spend a week with grandma. What's to do in Indiana? For longer, there was a lot of things to do, and they enjoyed it. And they would enjoy some things when they're here, but they're busy now.
I know. And plus too, they get to those moments of where their friends, I won't say their friends are more important, but the friends are pretty important. They're just right up here, almost on the list. So they want to do what they want to do. Now, Hillary's asking, is it okay to let family members who are constantly being toxic go?
Yes.
I say absolutely. And
Absolutely.
and I say that, we don't have to be ugly,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to be in their presence either.
Exactly. And Pastor talked about that one time. He talked about
Mhm.
that just because you have to let them go, so you can love them from afar. Because
Absolutely.
if they're bringing you down, causing chaos
Hmm.
and trauma in your life,
Hmm.
they need to be off on their own and come visit you when they can be in a good place. But yes,
That's right.
absolutely, you can let them go if they're being toxic, because why should you constantly let someone bombard your sense of peace, your sense of self?
Hmm.
No one has the right to do that to you.
No, no, not a family member. Definitely not. We have Aerosol here with us
Hey there,
tonight. We're
Tracy.
so glad you're here. Um, Lisa saying that when you have done all you can do, you bless them and you release them. I'm with
Exactly.
you. You are
Bless them and
absolutely
release them.
right. And Sweet Tea said anxiety. Anxiety is a big thing, and
Mhm.
it is real. And sometimes things affect us, and we don't even know it's affecting us until sometimes years down the line.
I know. You know, Leona, I went through depression once, and I knew that I was going through it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I remember that my doc had said, you know, that she wanted to give me some medication. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I can get through without meds. Doesn't want to take any meds.
Mm-hmm.
Do this. But it wasn't until a couple years later that I realized the struggle that I was going through as I worked through the depression.
Mm-hmm.
And what got me through was I had to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Mm-hmm.
was still working, and there were still things that I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all I could do to get out of bed,
Mm-hmm.
to dress, go to work, do what I needed to do for my job, and go back home. But I was getting complaints about not responding to email, not doing this, not doing that. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that my depression was affecting all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until like I was through it, that I'm like, wow, I was a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
I was a mess, but I was able to, you know, to get through it. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
my students probably didn't, well, definitely did not get the best of me during
Right.
that time.
Right.
But at least having to get up and go to work kept me focused on moving,
Mm-hmm.
doing those things. Because, you know, when you're having depression, a lot of times one of the first things to go is personal hygiene. People stop
Mm-hmm.
taking a shower, all that. Well, I still had to do all that stuff because I had to go to work.
Exactly.
But there were little things associated with
Mm-hmm.
work that I was letting slide that I didn't realize. So,
I know, I know. I can think of times, and I tend to kind of do what you did. I No one ever diagnosed it as
mhm,
depression, but I have a good way of hiding.
mhm,
Work allowed me to hide whatever I was upset about,
mhm,
and it was kind of like once I got into my classroom,
mhm,
the other person would come through. And it
mhm,
wasn't until it was time to go or time to get back home
mhm,
when the cover came off and I was back into the little funky place that I
mhm.
had left. And so, it's hard. And it's our children are going through, when I think of bullying,
Yes,
our kids are going through a lot of this. And some of it we may not recognize
yeah,
as parents and even as grandparents, that because sometimes they don't really know how to articulate
yes.
what's happening to them. And so, and I don't know about you, but I had a mom who would say, "Ah, suck it up. Keep moving. You
Mhm,
got things to do. We don't have time to sit around and be sad. You
mhm.
got to keep going." And that's what I found myself doing as an adult.
Right.
I would keep it going.
Suck it up. You
And
got to keep moving.
yeah, just keep moving. And so we get through it. But what happens is that our health tells on us.
Suffers.
We end up with health conditions that are due to stress.
Mhm.
And so those are the things that we see. Now,
I will say though that I did go, just so people know, I
mm-hmm,
did go to therapy. I went to counseling for 2 years, and many times your insurance will cover
mm-hmm,
counseling.
mm-hmm,
It won't cover it very long, typically.
mm-hmm,
So you may have to cough up some dollars yourself. But because them little 6 weeks they give you on your insurance is not enough.
not enough.
However, I did go to counseling for 2 years and it was
Mm-hmm,
very helpful. So for
mm-hmm,
those of you out there that are dealing with something that think you may be going through some clinical depression and you need some mental health counseling, I highly
mm-hmm,
recommend it. Before I actually went myself, I had no idea how therapeutic it could be. So I do
mm-hmm.
highly recommend it. And I'm not ashamed to say that I went.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
As a
no.
matter of fact, I remember my son asked me once, he was like, well, how come Taco Tuesday's a thing at the house? Because it wasn't a thing when we were at home. When did that become a holiday? And I was talking to someone about something else, and then it clicked with me. I
Mm-hmm,
used to go to counseling my husband and I, we would go to
mm-hmm,
counseling every Tuesday. And then
mm-hmm,
after we left the counseling session, we would go to Qdoba. because it
Mhm.
was Tuesday and they had tacos for a
Mhm.
dollar. So we
Mhm.
would go to get tacos and kind of talk about our session or whatever.
Mhm.
And I thought that's when I began to, we began to really celebrate or utilize Taco Tuesday. And now, we're in a much better place, but we still have Taco Tuesday at the house and it's not near as expensive.
Oh, and praise the Lord for that.
Yeah.
We've got Dee with us tonight. Hello, Dee. We're so glad you're
Hey, my
here.
lady
Yay.
friend.
Glad you're here. Glad to see you.
We
Uh,
got to get her on the show with us again.
I know. I know. We got Sweet Tea said that God keeps us, and you are
Yes.
absolutely right.
I
Thank
know with
goodness.
God to help me get through.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, Erin also said that her niece's daughter punched her in the face today. And when she went over there, she said that demon talked to us with disrespectful words.
Oh
And
my.
isn't that awful? That is so sad. And you think about the fact that, you know, your daughter, her daughter, first of all, you're dealing with family. You're
Mm-hmm.
dealing, you're trying to be careful because it is family and
Mm-hmm.
how you handle the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So my feeling is if you're toxic, I got to put you at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess you'll have to be able to work that out.
They're
Uh,
probably going to need to get that child some counseling because if she's done this
absolutely.
once, or if
Mhm.
this is the first time, there could certainly be another time. So they need to
Absolutely.
get that child some counseling so that she learns how to handle her anger. Because you
That's right.
certainly don't want to live in a situation where you're afraid of your own children.
No. And you don't want it to get to the point of where mom has a rough day and
Mm-hmm.
responds back, because that can turn ugly and dark and toxic as well. So those kind of situations can go the wrong way so quickly. And so we just pray that that situation works out much better.
Yes.
And her mom may certainly need someone to talk to
Mm-hmm.
and someone to give her some good advice along the way.
Mm-hmm. And care for the daughter too, because that's not a normal situation. She's
No,
certainly
no.
going to need some care. Leona, why don't you just say, well, I shouldn't say why don't you, but could you say a real quick prayer for Tracy's family?
Absolutely.
You pray better than I do.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are just so grateful for this evening. Lord, we have people who are here in our chat and those who are listening who just need a touch and a word from you. Lord, if it's our responsibility to be able to share and to love on those, both those who are having situations as well as those who are the recipients of negative activities, whatever it may be, then I'm asking you for the strength for us to be able to step out and to do what only you would ask us to do. We've got to love them, but at the same time, we have to be able to help them. I ask you to provide whatever service is necessary. And Father, just continue to give us your grace and your strength. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I just
It's
thought,
okay.
oh, we need to pray for this child and that family.
Absolutely, absolutely. We just never know. Dolores said
Depression.
depression. Okay. Um, oh, she said she had two friends murdered, and she was on medication for a while, and she said it helped her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So she was dealing with depression as well.
Mm-hmm.
I that's a situation I can't imagine,
No.
but I do know that there are a lot of people who are having to deal with unusual situations,
Yes.
and it seems like every day is kind of more and more. So, I'm saying with situations as they are, if you can find an opportunity to do some of those things that make you happy, make you smile, and put you in a good place, do it now. Do it today. It
Mm-hmm.
can be small. It doesn't have to be a trip to Europe. It
Yeah.
could be something as simple as for the weekend, taking go on a nice picnic with you and your boo, whoever that may be.
Picnics too.
Yeah.
That's a great idea too, because pack up a nice little picnic basket or put it in brown paper bags. It doesn't matter. And just you and your boo just go and spend a little time outside when it's cooler.
Hmm. Yeah.
When it's not. Like the other day, I had a doctor's appointment. So my husband drove me to the appointment and I wanted to go to Verizon afterwards because I had to do something with my iPad. But then I said, I need to go to TJ Maxx. And I wanted to go to Ulta. So he was like, I can't go in there. And I'm like, you can go in there. You'll be fine. It was so much fun. So here I was, walking around TJ Maxx and I was picking up all kinds of girly stuff, like I wanted new body washes and
Mhm.
new lotions and smell good hand soaps, it was just fun. And then we went over to Ulta and he said he always feels like a bull in a china shop when he goes to Ulta. I'm afraid to knock something over. But it's like I just love the way it smells in there because there's
Mhm. Mhm.
things that tempt us as women. I said, honey, there's men in there buying stuff too. They're either buying stuff for the women in their life, and they also have a male line of products.
Yes, they do. Yes, they
I had
do.
so much fun just shopping for little things. And
Mhm.
while we were in TJ Maxx, he says, well, I'm going to go look at the men's section while you're
Oh,
over here. Do you know what he brought to the checkout counter?
what was that?
A cat tree and a cat toy. So
No.
you're supposed to be able to look at that men's stuff. He said, yeah, well, I did. Well, he's over there buying stuff for the cat. Well, it was really fun, just kind of
Mhm.
just shopping for little unimportant things,
Mhm.
little things. And
Mhm.
it was just nice.
I know it is nice just being able to just spend a few minutes.
Mhm.
Uh, we have had many who are. Tamika was saying that she has also seen a therapist a couple of times in her adulthood, and she said it
Mhm.
was the best decision
Best
she's
decision.
ever made for herself. And and that's really what it's all about, is doing it for yourself. Tutu said that she prays that counseling will reach the daughter and family so that they can come together in love. She said the world is spinning out of control lately. Amen.
It
Amen. That's
is. It
all
really is.
it is. It is. Um, Hillary said that she likes reading and sleeping.
I love reading and listening to.
Yeah, Denise has her tablet. Now, I think you do Audible, right?
Yeah, yeah. My listen
Yes.
through my Kindle.
Well, see, I'm bad because I want to turn those pages. So I always have a book. I want the book. But I love, Dolores says she loves to buy a meal for a homeless person in someone's memory. And
Oh.
so that's a nice thing to do. And
Mhm.
so many of the grocery stores now have those opportunities where you can buy a box. I know Food Lion's real good at that.
Kroger used to do that.
Uh-huh. And that's what I was going to say. Kroger does it, I know, between Thanksgiving and Christmas,
Yes, that's it.
but for a while they were kind of doing, it may have been during COVID, but they were kind of doing it for a longer period.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping they get back to that because that
Mhm.
was something special. Hillary said, and she likes just time with just hubby, she and hubby.
Hillary, this
Absolutely.
could be the picnic. Really.
Absolutely.
Even if you take, like right now it's warm, you can
Mhm.
take that picnic to the mall, walk around, look at things, and then in the mall it's always air conditioned and cool. You can just sit there at food court and just have your little lunch.
It is so nice. Well, we go to the food court at the mall. We'll go to the food court and just sit there and people watch and chit chat back and forth and giggle. But it is fun too of being able to stop and for couples, and this is something I think our young homemakers need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Take a minute with just you and your boo.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, we're not talking going out and getting dressed up and spending 50, 60, or $100 for
$100.
a dinner. We're talking about something small, just a moment, going shopping,
Mhm.
even if it's just going to I love to go in Kohl's, and it's so funny. At first, Kohl's was one of those things he would always sit in the car. Well, then one day he decided that he'd go in Kohl's with me. Girl, I had checked out. I am calling. He isn't answering. I went to the car thinking he had gone back to the car. He's in Kohl's shopping. He came out with a bag bigger than mine. And
I
so
believe
I'm
it.
going, what happened? So now when I say, I need to, because, at Kohl's, we return our Amazon stuff. I need to go return some things to Amazon. Oh, I'm going.
Yeah.
He's ready to go with us. So it's just spending that time together.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. Ersel said that she loves a hardcover book.
I
Now,
do too.
sometimes we are going through some things and we're going through it. We aren't quite sure. We can't put our finger on it. But once we do, we have to get rid of those things that aren't making us happy. And Miss Denise, you know what? I thought of you in particular
But
because, we are always in the kitchen
hmm
talking about trying to declutter,
hmm
whether it's our house, whether it's our kitchen cabinets. We spent a whole month on $10
girl,
trying
yes,
to, I found myself decluttering my pantry. And, but decluttering really does make you feel better.
it does.
It does. And, but sometimes the decluttering is here.
Ah, yes. Yeah, you're
There are,
right. Decluttering your mind, getting
mhm,
rid of those toxic thoughts. And I think one of the things too is that to let go of those memories that don't serve you.
mhm,
And I know that's easy to say and it's
mhm,
harder to do. But I
mhm,
think sometimes when those memories try to pop up,
mhm,
you have to pray and ask God to help you let go of that
mhm,
or replace that memory right then and there with something that's more positive. Because,
mhm.
you don't want to let something that happened years ago pop up now and then cause you grief today.
Absolutely. And we can't change it.
Mm-mm.
That was a part of the past.
Mm-mm.
And so as we're decluttering our homes
Mhm.
along the way. I know I am. I'm trying to get
Yeah.
rid of some things. And I know we're trying to declutter because we're thinking of the future and
Mhm.
the fact that a lot of the stuff that we've got in our house, our children don't
Our
want.
children don't want.
They don't want it.
And they
And
have their own
so,
stuff.
yeah. So declutter.
Mm.
We're going to get rid of some things. I see Hillary says that she would probably travel as well. And of course, with her hubby. Sweet Tea said that she loves reading Bible audiobooks, soothing music like Dappy T. Keys and Uriel Vega. I'll have to look those up because I don't know who they are, but I'll find out. Lakefront walks. I love that.
Oh, or walking on the
To
beach.
be on the beach with my notepad, to have a nice bath and some ice cream.
Oh, girl, ice.
Woo, girl.
And when you were talking about self-care, and
Mm-hmm.
you've been talking about self-care for a few weeks off and on, and you and I have talked, and you've mentioned it. And so one of the things that I got when I went to Ulta and to TJ Maxx, I got some new like body wash, like
Mm-hmm.
bubble bath kind of stuff. I've been
Mm-hmm.
finding myself taking more, just soaking in the tub with like long soaks in the tub. I'll bring the iPad in there and I'll watch, maybe put a movie or something on and just soak. And then a really nice body oil and body lotions, just something
Mm-hmm.
really comforting and to make me feel really girly and smell good.
Yeah.
So I've really been thinking more about pampering myself with that
Mm-hmm.
instead of getting up, and hitting the ground running and having to do this and having to do that. But it's like, slow down. I'm just trying to
Mm-hmm.
slow down and reset for summer.
Yeah, yeah. And that was something that I think I enjoyed most about being in the career that I was in, because I had the summers off.
Hmm.
And so I really could get back into that slower start of
Yes.
where you aren't flying out the door, which was nice to be able to do. Now it was hard when the fall came and I had to jump back into the
Nothing beats
busy.
that academic calendar.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, there was nothing like that summer to be able to
Mhm.
enjoy it. And Sweet Tea was mentioning the being at the beach with the walks. I can't wait. Next week, that's exactly where I'm going to be, at the beach, and be able to take those walks. And I like pulling my beach chair down to where the water comes up and sit there with my book with my feet, and every time the water comes up, it comes over my feet and then washes back out and comes up, and it's like it just
Mhm.
pulls all the trouble right out
Mhm.
of you every time it
I
crosses
like
your
the beach
feet.
too.
So it's so much fun. Now Sleepless in New York said that she says she's on her decluttering journey, and she said decluttering helps you to see more space and more possibilities in life.
Yes, I agree with that.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And she said, yes. She said decluttering helps you to let go of memories that are no longer serving you. Grief and clutter also linked for her. She said she's trying to get rid of her grandmother's things. And that's something we have to do. And
Yeah.
everybody, I'm thinking of this. We lost a family member not too long ago. And I think the family's struggling with being able to let go of some of those articles. And so I guess with grief, as much as you say, well, put them in a box, and when you're ready,
Hmm.
then you can have somebody come and pick it up, or you can share it with somebody at church, or if you know of a homeless shelter, give it to them.
There
And
could be
so
a family member too that wants one or two things.
mhm,
Share a couple of things with them
mhm,
too. So,
that's true, that's true. Now Tutu said that her favorite treat lately has in the midst of all this heat is key lime Greek yogurt with
uh,
a bit of granola. Oh, that does sound nice and cool. I love.
Turtle Sundays at Dairy Queen.
I didn't know you like Dairy Queen.
Oh yes.
Oh, girl, Sunday app. Oh, that's my jam. On
Hmm.
Sunday is to hit Dairy Queen and get a whipped cone of ice cream
Hmm.
and just sit there and enjoy it,
Hmm.
because it's too hot to go outside and enjoy it. But that's my one of my favorite places as well. Now, as have all indicated that we are becoming more aware of
Hmm.
some of the things that trigger us, some of the things that cause us some of the stress. So now think about our physical health. We want to live in the peak of health. We want
Hmm.
to be fit. We want to be happy. We want to be able to have what I consider a hearty life. And
Hmm.
we want to enjoy life's pleasures. And we want to be able to do it pain free if at all possible.
Hmm.
So, are we ready to take the challenge to do what's necessary in order to get us there?
And
Because
Leona, I was thinking about that. You were talking about to take the challenge, and we
mhm,
have to be willing to put ourselves first.
mhm, mhm,
Oxygen mask on yourself before you put it
mhm,
on the child on the airplane. And we have to be willing to put ourselves first.
absolutely. And I think as moms, um, that's a hard move. We can do it if it's just hubby and us. We
Mhm.
can probably do that. But
Mhm.
when you have children, it's tougher to do, and the world makes you feel guilty
Mhm.
for taking the time for yourself.
Mhm.
And we need that. But oftentimes we don't recognize it until we're well past that point
Right.
where we should have taken done a stop, so to
Mhm.
speak. And we didn't grow up in the digital world,
No.
and so we didn't have to worry about the cell phone. We didn't have to worry about the computers. We didn't have to worry about any of those kind of things. But all the moms, the dads, the children, the teens who are being bombarded by all of the digital stuff today.
The information overload. And I think when we were in school, we were living in the information age.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
we were in school, the
Mm-hmm.
information age, and we had newspapers and books and
Mm-hmm.
encyclopedias and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how much information they have today.
Oh yeah, and exposure to things that they don't need. At least in the information age, most of your information was channeled to particular topics.
Right.
But now
You had
things
to
are
go to the library or it was at
right.
school or you had books at home, but that was it.
Yeah. But now, oh my goodness, the things that everyone can places, the places you can go, as Dr. Seuss would
Mhm.
say, you can go in so many different directions. So the digital age, I'm wondering if 10 to 15 years down the road, where will our minds be stress wise?
Whew. Well, that's
Because
a good question.
it's one of those situations of we have no idea of how it's really affecting us.
Well, we do know that the attention span is shorter now.
That's true.
People's attention span today is probably anywhere from, well, I don't know the statistics for that, so I won't throw out a number, but it is short. Whereas I
Mhm.
remember when we were kids, I could watch a whole movie. I could sit in class and watch an hour-long presentation, movie, whatever the teacher was
Mhm.
showing. And when I was teaching at the university, the movies were shorter
Mhm.
because kids' attention span was shorter.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
today, it's like, okay, don't even think about trying to show some kind of a film that's going to last more than 20 minutes because,
Absolutely.
it's just hard to keep people's attention. And then
Mhm.
if you're sitting at home and you're watching TV, you're sitting there with your little clicker and
Flipping.
you're doing that thing, looking for something to watch. You can
Mhm.
spend 20 minutes flipping channels trying to figure out what you're going to watch. So the
Absolutely.
attention span is certainly much shorter. We're just overloaded. I remember when I was growing
Mhm.
up, we had three channels: ABC, NBC, and CBS. That was it.
That was it.
You watch what was on them, and
That's
TV
right.
was off at 11 o'clock. And you just got snow. Now TV's on 24/7. You can't figure
Mhm.
out what to watch.
I know, and it's so easy. If you get tired of this for a few minutes, you can flip over to this. I
Hmm.
know hubby's good at watching 3 or 4 programs at the same time, and it just drives me crazy with
Hmm.
the flipping. But that's what he does. But
Hmm.
he was a computer person, so that
Ah,
digital side
yeah.
of it,
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
doing that flip. So sometimes we might have to get out of our comfort zone. Now, I have a feeling we are almost at the point of we're constantly living within the rules. We try to set rules for ourselves. We
Hmm.
try to do the things that we feel are right. And we try to put ourselves in environments that are good for us,
Yes.
which is a good thing. And so as we look around, take a good look, take an inventory, find your superpower where you are right now, because that superpower is here.
Hmm.
It's really here.
It's within.
It's within you. And so find those things that make you happy.
Hmm.
Find those people who make you happy.
Yes. Yes.
And find those situations that make you happy. And that's what you go with. Um,
And when
Hillary,
life be life, and as the kids say, when life be life, and you have to figure out What is it that you can do just to kind of keep moving forward? Just keep putting that foot, one foot in front of the other, and think about those routines that can just help you stay focused. And it could be something small. I remember like the Fly Lady cleaning method, when she came up with that system, it came about because she was having severe depression.
Exactly.
Her therapist told her, but just wash your face every day. So she got started
Hmm.
with just doing one thing.
Hmm.
Just think about what one thing can you do just to kind of help you get started. Maybe it's make your bed, or
Hmm.
maybe it's get up and get dressed. And then maybe later you add making your bed, or whatever it is. I'm being pretty, simple
Hmm.
with that, but it could be something else that you need to do to kind of keep yourself moving forward.
Absolutely. And sometimes you almost have to force yourself up out of that bed. But
Mhm.
every day that you get up out of that bed and that you're able to get into that shower and get your clothes on, your shoes on, it's
Mhm.
a good day.
A good
And
day and a new beginning.
absolutely. New opportunity. So we've got Hillary that's going to be taking her grandkids in August to Disney World. Yay! Dee said that especially with whole dependence on robots, the self-driven cars, AI, all of
Mhm.
that girl is
Girl, the
just,
Jetsons are here.
oh, it's here. It is absolutely here. Christina said that she's dealing with her dad passed last year, and she said it's so hard going through his things and knowing what to keep, and it's so hard to let go. You are absolutely right.
You know it is. And Christina, one of the things that we did when my dad passed away, it was like some of my sons and my sister's sons, maybe they might have taken one or two of his ties, something that they would want to wear themselves. They could wear them wherever they wear ties. And of course, those fashions change, but they can put that tie in the back of their closet. I know my youngest son had my dad's overcoat because he was of a size that he could fit it. Whereas
Mhm,
my older son was too big, to fit
mhm,
that. But
mhm.
just little things like that, that one or two little things that that child might appreciate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hillary's asking a question of what do you do if it's your son who lives with you with his daughter? He's not working because he's recovering from surgery. Then he has to get a job. And she said, but if she tosses him out, they'd be homeless. Well, I think as a mom,
Mhm.
um, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. You have to let them, it may be that he's recovering from surgery. Yes, he needs to get a job. I agree with that because he does need to be self sufficient with his daughter. But it may be that you might have to give him a time period.
Mhm.
And then that way you're not really tossing him out.
Mhm.
You're just yes, you are kind of pushing the birdie out of the nest, but the reality of it is that you're going to do it lovingly. But you
Mhm.
can say, son, I'm here, dad's here, we're getting older,
Mhm.
and we need some time for ourselves, and try to ease him out,
Mhm.
give him a reasonable time period, and go from there, and maybe help him to get going. Maybe he just needs that motivation.
Yeah.
What do you think, Denise?
Well, I was thinking about that. I know she struggled with this son before because when she was talking about the negative person,
Mm-hmm.
that's what she's talking about, that sometimes he can be a little negative. And whereas I would typically recommend counseling, if he's not employed, he can't
Mm-hmm.
go to counseling because it's usually tied to your insurance benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not he has Medicaid is a question. And if he could get on Medicaid, then
Mm-hmm.
that would help provide some mental health benefits for them as well. And, but I think though that if you could still somehow draw a line and just say, look, I love you and I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind you living here, but there's certain guidelines you have to follow if you're going to be here. And one of them is, you cannot talk to me any way you feel like. You have to treat me with love and respect. And if you can't do that, then maybe you need to find somewhere else to go. And
Mhm.
whereas I know you don't want your son, and definitely you don't want your grandbaby to be home,
Mhm.
you can
That's
only
a
do so.
tough one.
See, that's the tough one, because you
Mhm.
don't want your grandchild to be homeless, and
Mhm.
he knows that.
Exactly.
He
It's
knows.
exactly,
Yeah, he knows.
exactly, exactly. He's
I
using
don't know. You're definitely in a catch-22.
absolutely. Tutu said that joining us every week helps to keep her going in the right direction and fixing healthy food. Yay!
I
We
made
know.
strawberry jam today.
Yeah. Is that healthy?
No, but it was fun. I
No, but it
loved
sounds
doing it.
good.
I loved doing it.
Me too. Well, Kathy is saying good night. I
Good
am
night,
so
Kathy.
glad that you all, I know it's getting late and we need to
Oh,
all get ready to start a new day. But we hope that tonight has given you an opportunity, if nothing else, to refresh ourselves, to be able to look at the things
mhm,
that we're doing. And some things we might need a little tweaking with. And
mhm.
if you're one of those people who perhaps you've had some things going on that you just need to work on, I pray that you have an opportunity to do this. I am grateful for my sister Denise
I'm
and
grateful.
being here with us, that
Mhm.
we are able to come to this community, bring the best that we know to you,
Right.
and that we can all together work it out because we're all going through something.
Everyone's going through something.
Absolutely. But we're going to do it in love, and we're going to do it in strength and
It's
power. So, God bless all of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And Denise, you have a closing thought?
I was just thinking about when you said that, when you kind of came to some awareness when you were in your 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said that, it reminded me of, I had gone to some function, I don't know, and I had gone by myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I got to the door, there were these two people at the door, and they would say, "Oh, this is Willie's wife." And I
Mm-hmm.
remember I said, "No, I'm not Willie's wife. I
Mm-hmm.
am Denise Jordan." It was like I just felt at that point that I'm a person all on my own. And I felt like, until I was like in my early 40s,
Mm-hmm.
most of my life I was Mr. Jordan's wife, or
Mm-hmm.
Willie's wife, or Jason and Jill's mother, or
Mm-hmm.
Justin's mother, or this person or that person. And it was like, I'm like, no, I am Denise Jordan. He probably looked at me like, what? And it's not like we were separated or anything like that, but it was like, I got an identity that's all my own. And that's
Absolutely.
what popped into my head when you said that. So if any of you out there have
Mm-hmm.
ever had that feeling, let us know in the comment section below, because we finna close out. So we won't be able to see the chat.
We'll see it later, but the reality of it is, we will look for it, and we hope to hear from you in the chat later. But we all have that, as I call it, come to Jesus moment, where
Definitely.
we wake up and find out. It's kind of like, I am
Mhm,
Leona Dooley. I don't
mhm,
know. It was some show that used to be, I am so and so. And
mhm.
the next person would go, well, I am so and so.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember the game show. But anyway, we got to
Oh,
know who
yeah.
we are.
We do. We do. And I have a thing when some people say, well, my name is so and so. I don't say my name is, I say I am.
I am.
It's like I am, and I don't know. But that
Mhm.
was my awareness. Probably too much information that folks need. But it was like, what? That's what I remembered when you said that. But we do
Tutu
need to
said,
be self-aware. What did Tutu say?
she
She was
said,
like laughing.
it was to tell the truth. You are absolutely right.
Right.
You are
It's very true.
absolutely right. So, find yourself and
Mhm.
enjoy who you are and walk in it every day.
And don't be afraid to say no.
Oh,
A powerful word.
is that a thing?
Be afraid. No, that wasn't to you, but yeah, I just thought about that. You could use that too. But to our ladies and our gentlemen in the chat, don't be afraid to say no. That's another one of your superpowers. No is a complete sentence.
Mhm.
You don't have to explain it. Don't be afraid to say no, because sometimes no is a measure of self-care.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My last
Ladies and gentlemen, mwah, we love you all. Have a fantastic week. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
week.
God bless you all. Take
God
care.
bless you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.